So my thing was always to redirect people back to God. It's just like, just because I have these gifts, they're not exclusive. The gifts are not exclusive. And back in the day, we would say the gifts and callings are without repentance. So everybody has a gift. You just need to utilize yours more and your gift will become stronger.
Absolutely, because this journey is not about hierarchy. It's not about superiority. It's about the fact that we're all on the same path at the same level. And as Ram Dass said, we're all just walking each other home, right? And you may take a different modality. You may gravitate to a certain thought leader. However you may get there, we're all traveling the same road. Welcome to Navigating Oneness. We are your co-hosts. I'm Michelle.
I am Shanice.
And we're so glad that you guys are here with us today. Welcome to our first episode where we get a chance to share our origin stories, right? Shanice kind of giving people some insight of why are we even here, where all this came from, and the journey we traveled to get here.
Yes, let's get into it. Tell us, where did your journey begin?
So for me, it was when I was a young girl. Yeah. So I grew up in a very, very religious household. We were in church 3-4 times a week, whether choir rehearsal, Bible study, vacation Bible school, you name it, we were there and involved in a lot of ministries and programs and clubs in the church. And I think the one thing that stood out to me more than anything during that time was I did not feel like I connected to any of the information being shared with me, right? So the Bible stories, the information, the rules, the perception of what God was in that space was something that just didn't resonate with me well. But as a little kid, you do what you told, you go to church, you're a good girl, you're a good little boy, you're a good person, you go to church, you do what you're supposed to do. But I didn't resonate with the stories. But what I resonated most with, which I think was my first introduction to truly what our existence is the vibrational resonance of the choir. The music in the church is what really fueled my energy and my connection to it because I could feel the love, I could feel the devotion, and I could feel the dedication that the singers had for the songs that they were singing, the instrumentalists had for the instruments that they were playing, and the vibration of the expansive love that was in the space every time the music played. I resonated more with that than I did with anything else being shared in that place. So as I got a little older, I found myself kind of veering off that path. I found myself not really holding space to want to be in church to seek God. I felt like God may have been able to be located for me in other spaces and places. So I started to inquire and look around. I journeyed through the path of personal growth and self-development, reading books by Napoleon Hill and Clement Stone and Og Mandino, because I wanted to develop as a person. And it wasn't until I got pregnant with my first son and I was told to try yoga. And that was where this whole path shifted for me.
Wow, that's powerful. Even the fact that you resonated more with the music instead of, so it was the vibration of the music and just feeling the love from those who were singing it. Because it's always I want to be right. I want to do the right thing. It's always from that space, so bad.
Yeah.
So bad. I want to do right.
That's right. And, and the love that they were just expressing for the God of their understanding, right? There it is. I want my God to know that I love them. I want my God to know that I am devoted to this path. And the feeling that they were generating was so real. And that there to me, without me knowing it back then, was exactly where God was. It was in their love for their devotion to their creator.
Now, what shifted the path? I know that you said when right when you had your son, and then somebody told you to try yoga. So where did that take you?
So it's interesting because I was very resistant to even embarking on the path of yoga. It just didn't seem like something I wanted to do. But, with the recommendation from, my doctor, she said you should try yoga. It'd be the best thing for you. I gave it a go and I walked in that door one way and I came out a completely different person. It was once again that feeling of being centered, being within myself, feeling this expansive energy of love within me, and then feeling it throughout the entire room with all the other practitioners that were in there. And the peace and the calmness. I wanted to not only feel that, but I wanted to continue to feel it. So I found myself going back constantly. I was going to yoga class every week. I was joining meditation classes, and I just decided I wanted to get deeper and deeper into that space and place where I felt absolute calm, I felt centered, and I felt love. So I just kept traveling back, kept going deeper, kept going deeper. And the next thing you know, I'm in a yoga teacher training class. And one of my first teachers along this path, she's an amazing teacher. She created an amazing program where her yoga teacher training class was like an immersion class where it wasn't just about yoga. We studied other healing modalities like Thai massage, and we studied Buddhism, and we studied Tai Chi, and all of these different modalities because the principal focus of the entire program was to heal the self, the whole self. So, not just in one style or another, but you never know how you'll come across the path of needing to help somebody, and you have all these tools at your disposal to lead them and guide them along their way. So, it was a beautiful class. And from there, I've just been heavily immersed in the idea of understanding more about why are we here? What is the true essence of our and one of the things I found out was to reconnect and come back to the oneness of it all.
And I guess that leads to the next question you pretty much answered. What did you discover?
Man, I discovered that, believe it or not, when I was a little girl, I was kind of being given signs from the universe that where God, for me, resided, right? It was in the feeling of oneness. It was in the feeling of love. It was in that expansiveness and connection to everything, and that I am not separate from any of it. Unfortunately, I didn't have the vernacular or the articulation or no one else around me to really help me dive deeper into that. But what I loved about this journey was for my path, I wasn't supposed to really have the know it all about it back then. I was supposed to live through the experience and to know it now. So, yeah, what I discovered was that every single solitary breadcrumb along this path has helped me create a beautiful feast of understanding that I don't think otherwise I would have gotten here.
Interesting. So you studied a number of different things. Tell us about like some of the things that you've studied and where that has taken you.
Man. So, of course, I mentioned yoga, right? Being a yoga teacher, a certified yoga teacher, learning about Thai massage, learning about Thai, learning about all different types of healing modalities. And then it took me into energy training where I studied Reiki and I studied vibrational healing and I studied energetic wellness and even property clearing and understanding, the electromagnetic field that encompasses us and wraps our body up. Like we are inside of that electromagnetic field and we're connected to all of it and everything. Learning more about quantum physics and traveling down all these different roads of understanding. And one of the, I guess, things that I learned amongst all the stuff that I would learn and practice over the almost 20 years is that it's all saying the same thing that we are one and everything is inside of us that we need to understand. And more importantly, we are reflections of each other. So learning that through all of those modalities has been the greatest gift ever. And like I mentioned, the little breadcrumbs along the path that I learned from everything that I was exposed to led me up to the point where now I realize how all of these pieces fit together.
That is so powerful. So, why to you does this podcast matter?
Well, I think this podcast at this particular time where we are as a planet, as a civilization matters because everything is shifting and we've spent a lot of time in separatism. There's always been this group and then that group and this culture and then that culture and this age group and then that age group. And I think what I really truly understood was that the separatism did not get us very far at all. Right. So, a lot of people spend a lot of time, and don't get me wrong, be proud of who you are, be proud of where you came from, be proud of your ancestors, be proud of the journey you traveled in life. but learning that your journey also impacted and influenced person's journey. And you had no clue that that person was even there being impacted by it. So it's that ripple of the waters. What I go through does radiate out into the quantum field of all that is, and someone else is either benefiting of it, impacted by it, or learning from it. So at this time, with a lot of the turbulence that we're going through, and the shifting of the planet and the shifting of consciousness itself, learning the idea that it's happening not just outside of us, but it's happening inside of us, and that the external experience is truly a reflection of what's inside. And this podcast, I'm highly confident and been divinely guided to understand that it's going to help a lot of people find their connection to all of it, elevate above it, and help heal more people.
So, so powerful. Thank you so, so much for sharing that. Gives everybody a better picture of who you are and what brought you here. And yeah, we'll explore some more. I know different bits and pieces will come together as we journey on this podcast together.
Yeah.
But yeah, thank you.
All right. Thank you. All right. I now get a chance to put Shanice in the hot seat. And as being one of the most captivating and interesting people that I know, she has an amazing story. So I'm just so excited for her to share with you. So let's dive in. All right. So, Shanice, where did your journey begin?
Well, it began as a child. Always knew that what I was experiencing wasn't supposed to be my life. I just always had this indication like this is not supposed to be my life. Like this is not it. I grew up in a single parent household. We were non-religious, but I was the oldest girl and throughout my childhood, like I would notice things and I would know things ahead of time. And for years, I didn't know what that was or what that was about. I became a Christian. I accepted Christ in our living room. My husband chose to reject Christ because he didn't want to play with God. He said, I think it was like a couple days later or a day later, he went to prison for a long time. And now my primary focus, because I had already made the commitment, and then too, as a mother, I wanted to do right. I didn't want my kids to be raised how I was raised. So, as a mother, as a protector, that's what I did. And pretty much just stay focused, try to do the right thing because I've seen what life was like doing the wrong thing, being in the streets, et cetera, hanging out at the club, all that kind of stuff. Just even and going to church, reading the Bible, and I just stuck with it. But I got more engaged and involved with the spiritual warfare side, with the spiritual gift side. And that's when I started to see my gifts and even teach my children about their gifts. I connected more with that aspect, even though the religion or the church that I was a part of didn't really understand spiritual gifts. So spiritual gifts has always been at the forefront for me. And that's kind of what I'm more so connected to as opposed to the story or the belief itself, even though I did connect with the belief of Jesus Christ, etc. But the spiritual gift part was really the part that resonated for me more. So yeah, that's where it started. And I stuck with that until maybe 7 years ago. So 7 years ago, that's when everything shifted.
Okay. So just to get some context here, right? So starting the path in a place and space where you found, as you gotten older, and you starting a family, that you found religion to be a place where you wanted to now devote your development of who you were becoming and who you wanted to be in life. You found it in that circle. But it sounded like you really kind of dove into that because I believe one of the things you may have shared with me was that you took a position of like real leadership in those circles, right? Yeah. So can you tell us a little bit about like what you finding the devotion on that path led you to a position of leadership in that religious circle?
Good question, because the leadership side was also one of the parts that really resonated with me. Leadership and integrity of leadership was taught a lot. And that's what I really resonated with because I do believe and I have always believed that all of us are leading somebody somewhere. We are all leaders. Leadership has been a very strong principle and kind of a guide to show me where I want to be. So yeah, that has been a big thing. And I did just lead different ministries in the church and have people have always connected with me outside of the church in places of leadership. I have always been in leadership positions, I guess, probably after probably the first 10 years of Christianity, but just being in a position of leadership and being able to help guide other people back to, at the time, back to God, because there was a lot of, in the sphere of Christianity, there's a hierarchy. So, I mean, that is the model that it follows. So, people want to look up to you and put you on a pedestal. I really hated that. So my thing was always to redirect people back to God. It's just like, just because I have these gifts, they're not exclusive. The gifts are not exclusive. And back in the day, we would say the gifts and callings are without repentance. So everybody has a gift. You just need to utilize yours more and your gift will become stronger. So that was always my thing, lead people back to God because I cannot stand idolatry. And I ended a lot of friendships and relationships because people will always come to me with stuff and I don't like that energy. Just being in a pet place of leadership, I seen my position as something different, more so to really lead and direct people on where to go. And that where to go or who to go to, if there's a who, was not me. It was not me. I'm not the person to be worshiped. I'm not the go between. I'm not the idol. So, yeah.
And that was something that kind of perhaps took you kind of out of that path because you're like, I'm here to be of service, but not to the degree of which now you're thinking I am the telephone line between you and all that is. You're like, no, I'm not the telephone line. You have the telephone line. You are the person. I think that's very powerful to really like highlight in that story because, discovering and understanding your path on your spiritual journey often have people gravitating to you in a type of way that makes you feel like like you said, put them on a pedestal and things like that. And that seems to be shifting now. So I really want to ask you another question about kind of based off of that experience, what did you discover not only about this path, but about yourself that shifted you a little bit, that shifted you away from traditional religious structure to now walking a path where you're doing the work that you're doing today?
There was one day, this is what made me to decide to walk away from the religion that I was a part of when asking a particular question to the pastor, the answer that they gave me told me about hierarchy and how we were below. We were like the servants. And that did not all resonate with me. My spirit was like, that is not true. And that was like over 7 years ago. So from that point on, and I made usually with church, like people like, okay, I'm going to plan it out. I'm going to give them at least 90 days. I was like, Sunday, we done. We done. We out of here. Deuces. And so from then to also for myself studying somatic breath work. When I started doing somatic breath work, studying somatic breath work, it really helped me to see and feel what takes place in the body and how we really have the power to change that. And that got me to delving deeper into energy work. Certified in mindfulness, certified in Reiki energy healing. Now I'm getting into all the other modalities that me and you both have dove into and seeing how this whole field works, how it's all like everything, like just being able to see it in front of you and feel it. It's like, oh, this is all connected. And it makes you be now in Christianity, I was very disciplined, but even when you are actually seeing stuff before you energetically and you're feeling it, you're like, man, I just thought that. Wait, hold on. That just showed up. Okay, let me think a new thought. Let me raise my vibration because I don't want to see that in my field. Oh, wait a minute. This is a part of me. Oh, that's why that's there. So, yeah, that has brought me to this place where we are.
I find great resonance with that. I'm pretty sure a lot of people can find relatability because to be in a space of devotion where you are in a church and then you hear something that your spirit now is like, "Mm, that doesn't sound about right to us." And that to me begins the pathway of you kind of then going towards that self discovery where now for you, it was breath work. It was now energy healing. It is now all of these beautiful things. And I think that that is an amazing process. So it sounds like you took that path and that journey. And for you today, what does this podcast at this time mean for you? And I guess kind of your vision on how it will impact and help others.
Good question because um I know that with our natural eyes, we see one thing. And with the natural eye, I do see one thing. But what the divine has showed me that's coming is different from what's in front of me. And when you see, so what we see in front of us is chaos, da 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 da. And we think that we're going back to when in reality, we are not going back. What's happening is the great collapse of different structures. I feel that. So, what we see is what's collapsing. And if that's collapsing on the outside, it's also collapsing within us. And that's what I feel happening within me. There's a lot of things that I believe in. Oh, this is separate, that's separate. I don't like you, so you're separate. No, you did that wrong to me. So you know what? I'm going to turn the other way, but as long as you stay over there, don't come over here. All of those little separation things that we have. So, not wanting to rebuild on the foundation that is currently collapsing. And also, okay, well, this person, these people did me like this. Now I am in a position of I can stand on their neck now. Not wanting to be a part of that, but really wanting to, because if you really connect to a higher consciousness, the all that is, you will know that what's coming, we're not recreating the same thing over and over again. Okay, that we've seen with our natural eyes, those who are on the earth plane right now. That's not what we've been sent here to recreate in different shades. That's not it. So to me, that's why this matters because I, being a leader, you being a leader, we now have the ability to create space where even as our evolution is taking place, to invite other people in to be a part of that conversation so where we can all heal and grow together. And that's a beautiful thing.
Absolutely, because this journey is not about hierarchy, it's not about superiority. It's about the fact that we're all on the same path at the same level. And as Ram Dass said, we're all just walking each other home. Right? Like, and you may take a different modality, you may gravitate to a certain thought leader. However, you may get there, we're all traveling the same road home. So, I think that it is wonderful to hear that focus that you have as a leader in this space, understanding that your journey is not complete, but I'm helping others along as I take this path. So, I think that it's an exciting time. And I'm just so grateful to not only be on this journey with you and creating this podcast and this space, but for all of the conversations that we're going to have in the future, because this is truly what's happening right now is more so an unraveling of who we thought we were and more of a becoming of who we truly are. And it might get a little rocky. It might get a little scary. And we're going to have some real candid conversations about that, right? We're going to dive into how scary it can be to completely shift the landscape that you've known all these years to then become something that you may not be familiar with, but you're resonating at a very high vibration with the process of the becoming something greater. So I am truly excited and honored to go on this journey with you because between Shanice and I, guys, we have somewhere up to almost 100 years of lived experience on this earth plane. So I think
Yeah.
we got a few stories to tell. We have guests that we're going to talk to about some things. So we're just truly excited to create a space where these candid conversations can happen, right? They're not going to be, some of them might be a little bit hard to have, but as the conversation goes, it was never promised to be easy. It was promised to be worth it. So, welcome to the transformation. Welcome to the upliftment and welcome to navigating Oneness. If this conversation resonated with you, share it with someone who may also be on a journey of healing and self discovery. Be sure to follow the podcast so you never miss an episode. And remember, there is a deeper connection that unites us all.
Until next time, if you need assistance along your evolutionary journey, you can email us at info@navigatingoneness.com.